Hello, everyone. This is Lily Luna. Merry Christmas to all of you. I tried to record a video yesterday and I borked it up somehow. I screwed it up and I wasn't able to re record it. So I just thought that I would do that now. Um, yeah, just I wanted to tell you guys about a new channel that I started and just a couple of random Lorne slash Predator musings that I had. What what better thing to do on Christmas Day than talk about Lorne and To Catch a Predator? Really, honestly, I was actually feeling a bit down earlier today. I really love Christmas, but it can be such a hard holiday to get through for everybody, not just for me, for whatever difficulties you might be going through. And Andrew Burkett uploaded a video today just saying Merry Christmas to everyone. And he said something along the lines of, just remember whatever problems you may be going through, whatever you may be dealing with in your life, just remember you're not Lauren Armstrong. And it really did cheer me up a little bit. So thanks for that, Andrew. And hopefully that um, helps everybody else kind of put their problems in perspective. It could always be worse. We could all be Lauren Armstrong. Thankfully, that's not the case. So yeah, I mentioned my new channel. I created the channel already. I haven't put anything on it yet. But I do have some stuff in the works that I'm going to be putting up. I called it Lily Luna Review Stuff, and as it sounds like, it's basically just going to be a review channel for just kind of whatever strikes my fancy that I have a lot to say about. What inspired me to start the channel was I saw a show recently, a musical that I've been wanting to see for a long time. It's called Love Never Dies, and it's exactly as cheesy as the title may imply, and actually a sequel to the musical The Phantom of the Opera, which more of you have probably heard of. Not many people have heard of the sequel. And I am a huge fan of the original show, and it and the sequel are both currently touring the US. So I'm probably going to put up reviews of both of those on that channel, just to kind of give you an idea of what some of my interests are and the type of thing that I might be putting on there. I do also want to do a Last Jedi review. I jumped into the live stream discussion that Andrew Burkett did several days ago, so some of you guys might have already heard some of my thoughts on the film, but there were some other things that I wanted to talk about that we didn't get into on the live stream. That one in particular, the Last Jedi one, I will post that on my TCAP channel because a lot of people have already heard the discussion, so there's already an audience for it in the TCAP community. So that one I'll post on both channels. But other than that, if it's a review of, a movie or whatever it might be that I'm talking about, I'm going to post it on the other channel. So if that's something you think you might be interested in, hearing me ramble on about shows, movies, whatever it might be, then, feel free to check it out. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. This whole thing has really just kind of been for fun and just seeing where it goes and seeing. So I'm still finding my footing with all of this stuff, so including the To Catch a Predator stuff. So moving on from that, I just kind of spent the last couple of days. It was kind of a quiet holiday. For me. So I spent yesterday and a lot of today reading parts of the chat log, watching some of the old analysis videos and this and that. And there were just a couple of things that sprang to mind that I wanted to talk about. One of them that has kind of stood out to me is there's one thing that people have asked over and over, and I don't think that it's ever really been answered conclusively that I have found anyway. And this one is not specific to Lorne. This is one that applies to, any of the guys that were caught on the show. That being, why don't they ask for an attorney when they're brought into the interrogation? Why do they agree to talk to the police? Many people have asked that question, and um, I think I can provide some insight into why, because there are several different reasons, depending on the individual, depending on their experience with the legal system, whether it's their first time or not. One reason right off the bat is they, David Schumacher is a good example of this. As far as I know, his police interview hasn't been made available. I've never seen it, so if it's out there, I'm not aware of it. But David Schumacher is the type that has been in trouble with the law many times, and he thinks he's smarter than the cops, the lawyers. He thinks he knows enough about it that he can actually get his way out of it. So I can see him being the type that would agree to talk because he thinks he's got it all figured out. He thinks he knows exactly what to say to get him in the least amount of trouble. So that's a big reason why some of them do it. They think there was a little bit of that with Dustin McFetridge as well. He hadn't been had any legal issues before, but he was just thinking that he could, spin this bullshit story and that he could talk his way out of it. And another big reason is really this pretty much applies to the first timers, the ones who like Dustin, who like Lorne. I know Lorne mentioned that I think had gotten a DUI before, or DW, something like that. But this was his first, something that, not that a DUI isn't serious, but I think you know what I mean. This was his first, really serious, like you could be looking at some serious, prison time over this, which is what ended up happening. This was the first really serious thing that he got caught up in. And that's, when everybody knows in their minds, as we sit here in front of our computers, that you shouldn't talk to the cops, that when you are arrested, their only job is to gather evidence to use against you. So the only words out of your mouth should be, I would like an attorney. We know that sitting there, but it's a whole different experience when by the time you get to the point in your day where somebody is reading those words to you, your Miranda rights, you have the right to remain silent, et cetera, et cetera. You aren't really operating at 100% at that point. You Things happen, it's the editing they do on TCAP. It can be deceptive because it makes it look like these things happen really quickly. Like, you jump from they're at the house, now, they're at the police station, now they're at court. It makes it look really quick, which that's just how TV is. It makes it look deceptively quick when in reality, these processes, they take hours, they take days, court cases take months. It takes a very long time. The wheels of justice move extremely slowly. So, you're not operating at 100%. So when you're hearing those words, everyone who has had the experience of having those words read to them in their lives, you've heard those words a million times already, on TV and the movies and on the radio, everywhere. Everybody pretty much could recite your Miranda rights by heart. You've heard it so many times. So it's like when they're being read off to you, you're hearing it, but you're not really processing it. You're not really understanding the decision that you're making by talking to the cops. And the cops know that. It's, they completely use that tactic to their advantage. Now, I'm certainly not crying any crocodile tears over them using that tactic to catch sex offenders. But I do, I'm a big, I have a lot of strong feelings about the justice system and police, the things that police do. And, from an ethical standpoint, I don't, it bothers me to an extent that somebody is being made to make such a big decision on the spot when you know that they're really not operating at 100%. They're at that point, they're probably, fatigued, they're tired, they may be missing, they may have missed a dose of medication that they're due for, they're probably, they're hungry, they might be feeling physically ill just from the shock of everything that's going on. So, you're not operating at your full level, but you're still having to make one of the biggest decisions of your life right there on the spot. And that's why, and the police won't come out and say that, oh, if you talk, we'll do XYZ for you, but they definitely will imply it. They'll say things like, oh, well, I'll be sure to include it in my report that you cooperated, that, we'll tell the judge that you did this, did that, whatever. They're never going to come out and promise you anything because they can't do that, but they make it a lot harder than you might think to actually exercise the rights that you have. So that's why a lot of the times you agree to talk, because Dustin McFetridge, going back to him, is a good example of this. He was clearly terrified, didn't really understand what was going on. He was scared about going to jail. He had never been through something like this before. So by the time he ended up in that interrogation room, all he's looking for at that point is an ally. And the cops know that. They can tell by, if you're somebody who is, scared, terrified, you've never been in this situation before, they know that all you're looking for at this point is somebody to be on your side. And the cop that interrogated Dustin, that's what he went with, tried to be his buddy, be friendly with him, get him to open up, get him to, that's exactly what the cop's job is to get them to, they want them to talk. So they have all kinds of ways, all kinds of tactics to get them to do that. So yes, you should absolutely, for just out of self-preservation, if you are ever arrested for any reason, the smart thing to do is to not talk. But it's a lot harder to do that than it might appear. And I think there were some that had been in trouble before that still agreed to talk, and that those are it goes back to, they probably just think that they can talk their way out of it, that since it was maybe all over the internet, that it's not really, since there was no girl, that it, they can get out of it somehow. They can spin some ridiculous story like Dustin tried to do, because the story that Dustin told, it made zero sense. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's just how the cops operate. It's much more difficult than you may think. But yeah, just a little bit of life advice for you guys. If any of you guys ever get arrested for any reason, hopefully it wouldn't be for the reasons that the To Catch a Predator guys were. But yeah, if you're ever picked up for whatever it is, keep your mouth shut, ask for an attorney. That's it. That's all you should do. But yeah, it's just, especially, the guys who got caught in the TCAP stings, it's, not only are they getting arrested, but they're having to process the fact that this is going to be shown on national television. So everybody that they've ever known is going to find out about this. So it's a lot. It's a lot to process in your head. So it's not necessarily stupidity. Well, it's for some of them it's a form of stupidity, but it's not like because they're just so dumb that they don't know any better. It's definitely a combination of factors that that gets people to open up and to talk, and the cops use that to their complete advantage because they've seen everything. They've seen the guys who are scared, they've seen the guys who have been there over and over, and they know exactly how to play each one to their advantage. um so yeah, I've just never really seen or heard anybody kind of delve into that. It's just, it gets, that question has gotten raised so many times, and I've never really heard anybody go into it. So that's pretty much my take on that, is just it's not as easy. It's not as easy as you think. And yeah, and that's pretty much all I've got on that particular topic. And the other stuff I was thinking about was just I was reading over the Lorne chat log and listening to a couple of old analysis videos, and I was getting really, really upset. Like, not, upset, but I was getting really mad at Lorne with this stuff. Somebody on Facebook, it was brought up on Facebook a couple days ago, how many times Lorne says LOL in the chat, and I think it was like hundreds. I mean, it was many, many times, and that's just it's all that is a tactic. It's just his way of, he's dancing around the subjects that he really wants to talk about. Because I don't think, there are very few lines in the chat log that are actually sincere, that are actually Lorne saying what he really feels. And usually the ones that are sincere is when he's pissed off. Excuse me. It's really quite disturbing when you think about it, because I know Andrew Burkett has touched on this many times, and I hope I'm not coming off as a complete Andrew Burkett clone, as like a copycat. It's really not my intention. I've listened to pretty much all of his stuff, and his way of analyzing things, it's really kind of is along the lines of the way that it's really much more my thing than some of the other stuff. So I hope I'm not coming across as completely copying him. If I do, it's certainly not my intention. Um, but yeah, it's just he gets so angry whenever anything interrupts his time with Kayla. Like if her parents are calling her, or they're on the phone, and the one phone call we've all heard where she says, "Hey, I gotta go, my parents are fighting," and there's just there's no all you hear in his voice is just there's frustration and disappointment, and there's an undercurrent of anger there too. Like, there's absolutely zero regard for her well-being, for her, oh, why are your parents arguing, what's the matter, are you okay, are you all right? That's not even a factor in his mind. He's just pissed off because she has to go, because he can't talk to her and get his ego stroked by his fake 13-year-old girlfriend. And that's really what the LOL thing is all about. It's just one of his tactics. It's, if he goes a little bit too far with what he says, he has an out. He can say, "Oh, well, I was just kidding." There's a lot of that in Dustin McFetrich's chat too. In the early parts of it, he says a lot of things, and he says, "Oh, JK, just kidding. No, I'm just joking." So that's not something that is specific to Lorne. That's a very common thing. But yeah, as many times as LOL is said in that chat log, that's just Lorne, being just pussying out and not saying what he really wants to say. And another thing that occurred to me when I was going over the chat log again is how amazing it is that Lorne actually hit the decoy that he got, when he IM'd Kayla, that he got the decoy that he got, because that Sherry Twist is the decoy on Perverted Justice that did. And the way that she played it, it's been said over and over how much of a blank slate Kayla was. There was just zero personality. There's just nothing there. She plays it, very, very dumb, very naive, very innocent. But she does it, I feel, way, way, way too much, far too much. And I'm sure she probably got a lot of guys that didn't even want to bother with her because it was just too much work. It was way too, they usually, the pervs that are going after the younger girls, they want the girls to reciprocate a little bit. Some of them will be willing to work at it, chip away at it a little bit, but they usually want somebody who's gonna go along with it. And it's really quite amazing that he happened to hit on that particular decoy, because the way that she played it, it's really quite unfortunate that she chose to play it so dumb. Because if she I this is what I have pulled up right here, is I clicked on her other, because when you click on the name, it'll show you the other busts that they've done for the site. So I was just kind of scrolling through some of them to see if she played it the same way, and she she doesn't. I mean, there's these other ones where they're a little bit, and the other perverted justice decoys, they don't play it that dumb either. A lot of them, they're a lot more receptive. Some of them even, say they have sexual experience themselves. Some of them, say they've been victims of abuse. I've seen at least one um that is like that. And so I understand that, perverted justice had, they had their methods, they had their procedures for how they would do things. They don't want the decoy to be the one bringing up sex, to be the one bringing that into the conversation. They don't want, they want to give the guys enough rope to hang themselves when it comes down to it. And I really think it's quite a shame that Sherry Twist didn't give Lorne more rope, because if she had been, he was always afraid of pushing her too far, because she was not receptive really to anything. And if she had played a little bit more into it, I think Lorne would have gone quite a bit further in the chat that he did, because compared to many of the other chats on there, Lorne's is fairly mild. He shows himself naked on the webcam, and of course um and even really the conversations don't they it does get graphic at times, but compared to a lot of the other ones, it's fairly fairly mild in comparison to some of the others. But if if she had gone along with it more, I think we could have had a lot more Lorne material to work with. He would have, he showed himself naked on webcam to her every single day. Oh, and what's with him saying every single time he shows her his package, he says, "Was that good? Was that good?" What the hell is that about? What do you mean, was that good? I mean, it's a penis. It looks like what it looks like. Uh, that's just one guy thing that I do not understand, why they think that girls want to, want to get the dick pics and want to stare at their. I mean, and I don't know. I just don't get it. Most girls that I know don't really care too much for that sort of thing. But yeah, what that just kills me every time I read the holy pornography. Was that good? Was that good? I do feel for the decoy that had to deal with him for an entire month, or was it over a month? It was right around that time. Um, but yeah, I wish that it, because we could have gotten more out of Lorne. I think he if she had been receptive to it, he would have probably masturbated on webcam for her. He might have shared pornography with her. I mean, he would have gotten. I have sometimes had this tendency to think of Lorne as one of the more a- and this is a relative term, but to think of him as maybe one of the more mild predators on the site. Because I mean, there's some chat logs that especially the ones that are in this I'll scroll up to it, but it's like the top 10 slimiest or what am I doing here? Like the top 10 slimiest. Those are, yeah, like these guys up here. Some of those are just, I mean, they're horrific. They're really difficult to read, some of them, because they've got, I mean, they've caught some straight up, some true pedophiles on here. I mean, one of them, this guy in particular, talks about, this is Kalanji Woods. He talks about going after kids when they're still crawling. I mean, babies. I mean, that's, oh God, it's really, really bad. So I sometimes have thought of Lorne as one of the quote milder ones, but when you think about it, he really isn't. I mean, I'm not saying he is on the level of this guy, but he's really quite manipulative. He Whether or not he has enough self awareness to realize how manipulative he is, I don't know. But I I'm not sure that he actually has the one of the videos Andrew Burkett did was did Lorne truly love Kayla? And the short answer was no, but he, went into more reasons as to why. And no, he absolutely did not. I'm not sure if he has the capacity to love, anybody, and to really truly not just feel, he might feel that he might feel infatuated. He was infatuated with Ramona, with Kayla, but it's not all that he cares about is what she can do for him, how she makes him feel. That's what he loves. He loves how they make him feel, how he loves the escape that he gets, from his crappy everyday life. That's what he loves. He doesn't really give two shits about the health, the well-being, the safety, anything of the person, even though the person, of course, was a fictional character, but that wasn't known to him at the time. And he didn't care at all about any of the problems that she might have had, that Kayla might have had. And he seems so used to, it's like it doesn't put him off at all that he's calling his girlfriend up and asking her, how was school today? It's like it doesn't even, and I mean, this is putting aside like, an adult college student or something, but most of the time, when you call up your girlfriend, as an adult, your first question isn't going to be, how was school today? If you have to ask your girlfriend when you are the age of 36, 37, and you have to ask your girlfriend if she's ever heard of the Beatles, she's too freaking young. I mean, and that it, there's just, there never seems to be a moment where it pops into his head that what he's doing is wrong, that she's way too young, that she's, and it's not like it happens as a progression, that he talks to her as a friend and then it just kind of builds into anything. No, he's interested in her right off the bat, very first day, very first, night of chatting. He's already trying to get her to, talk about sex and talk about, and it was what, 5 days into the chat that he is saying that he's in love with her. That you can't fall, even if it's a real person and you actually meet them in person, you cannot fall in love with somebody after 5 days. You just can't. That's not enough time to get to know somebody, to talk to them, have conversations with them, get to know what they're all about, spend time with them in person. It doesn't happen that quick, especially not when your only interaction at that point has been over the internet. I don't think there had even been a phone call yet at that point. So yeah, it's just he he's definitely not one of he's Lorne is just as bad as any of the other guys on this site, as far as, what his intentions were, that he targeted a child for it's like it's really interesting how when the To Catch a Predator first aired, when you saw, just what Dateline aired on TV, when I first watched these episodes, when they came on TV, I think I actually caught them when they were not when they were brand new, but when they were like running them as reruns. Uh, when I first watched some of them, I almost felt sorry for some of these guys because they're just they just look so pathetic. I mean, Lorne in particular, I mean, he's on the ground crying and, the cops are all over him. And it's like you can almost feel sorry for these guys. I think I read uh, it was a somebody was criticizing the show and they say if you're making somebody feel sorry for, a sex predator, then you're doing something wrong. Um, but it's such a different perspective that we have now that we have so much more. You might, if you just watch what Dateline aired, you could feel sorry for Lorne because he just looks so pathetic. But when you have the information available to you that we have now, the interrogation video, the chat log, the all the all the other stuff, the lawsuits, and not just for Lorne, but for a lot of these guys, we have so much more available to really the chat log is the big thing. If you feel at all sorry for any of these guys, read the chat logs and you'll that will remind you, what was said and what was done. Yeah, I might do another video and talk about some of these guys in the like top 10 most slimy is what they call it. Like this guy, this is Kevin McCausland. He's another really really bad one, and I've this is a very very long. This is makes the Lorne chat log look short. This chat goes on for it goes on from the end of November to like early April, I think it is. So it's like a good 4 months long, 4 months, 4.5 months, something like that. Yeah, this one goes on for a really, really, really long time. So yeah, there's a lot there to talk about as well. And guess I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm running a little bit over 30 minutes. I didn't realize I was gonna go on that long about Lorne, but God, he just he just made when I go back and read some of this stuff and listen to some of this stuff, it makes me so angry sometimes because I, I guess that's why we're just also fascinated by him. It's like he never he never ceases to surprise you. There's so much material out there that it's really easy to forget some of this stuff. It's like you have to go, it's like going back to a book that you've read before and picking it up again, like, oh yeah, I forgot about this part. It's really what it's like. You just, and I guess that's why this community is still going strong because we may never run out of things to talk about. If Lorne Yeah, I really, it's such a shame that I wish that Kayla had been a little bit more. That really should have been a red flag for Lorne, that she was just way, way, way too dumb. I mean, she just acted like she didn't know her ass from her elbow. I mean, by the time you get to 13, I mean, I- when I was in school, I think we were shown the sex videos, where they bring the girls in one room and the boys in one room and they show you the videos. I believe that was in like fifth grade, which I think I was 11 in fifth grade. So, yeah, like 10 or 11 is that's how they did it when I was in school. I don't know if that's changed, but as far as I know, that's still about the age where they, start to educate kids about sex. So when you're 13 years old, of course you're going to be young and innocent and not know really anything about anything, but you're not going to be that dumb. I mean, that she just played it way, way, way she played it not like she was a 13-year-old. She played it like she was like 7 years old or something. Even, this day and age, a 7-year-old might even be aware of more than Kayla acted like. But yeah, Lorne's chat definitely could have gotten a lot more disturbing if he had just been given that encouragement. I think would have gone quite a bit further than he did. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna leave it at that. I just had some random Lorne thoughts to go on about, and I'll wrap it up by playing the absolute best cover of, what is it, Heartland's I Loved Her First, because it never fails to make me giggle.
Look at the two of you dancing that way.
I'm not going to play the whole thing. I just wanted to.
Moment in each other's face.
So yeah, I'm not going to play the whole thing. So yeah, that's basically all I've got for now. Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you guys all had a nice holiday, and I know Christmas can be a hard time for, depending on what may be going on in your life. So if you're, having kind of a rough time of it, just remember what Andrew Burke had said. It could be worse. You could be Lorne Armstrong. Just be thankful that you are not that you are you and that you are not Lorne, and that will probably make things seem a little bit more manageable. So yeah, until next time, this is Lily Luna. I'm going to come out with hopefully some more videos pretty soon here. I got one other reason I wanted to do this video is because I got a new mic. So this is me testing out my new microphone for the first time. So hopefully the audio has improved a bit. And I also, as you can see, I have it where I'm recording what's on my screen now, which didn't come into play too much into this video, but in future videos, I'll be able to do a little bit more with doing both video and audio, which I know is, usually a little bit more engaging than just listening to just audio. So yeah, that's about it. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.